So here I am with John Keating. John, thanks for making the time.
Great to be together.
You know, a number of brothers and sisters have been praying for you for a long time, but I don't think many of you have actually seen you on a video, and so we thought it'd be nice to hear a little bit from you, how you've been, how you're recovering. So fill us in a little bit, maybe even what happened in Israel, because many probably have not heard firsthand.
Okay, sure. So let me just tell you a little bit. First of all, I want to thank everybody who's been praying for me and thinking for me during these years, these months, I should say, be it since I got the stroke. Many of you sent nice messages, and I never wrote anything back because for the first 3 months or so, I couldn't write anything. And so I was limited, very limited in what I could do. So for those of you who didn't know much about what it means to have a stroke like that, I was away. I had left Manila in the Philippines, and I had gone to Israel. And I was spending about 2 weeks there, maybe a little bit less, to do 2 retreats over the weekends, and then some meetings during the week. And after I arrived, I realized that something wrong had happened. I couldn't really understand what had happened, and even the people who saw me and took me to the hospital didn't quite know what had happened. And it was over a time, because I didn't show the physical symptoms of a stroke that many people would look for. My memory hadn't significantly been affected, nor my ability to think rationally. But what significantly been affected was my ability to speak and also to write, which made it very unlimited, very limited to speak to anybody outside of right there in front of me, to say either how are you or could you please write a message or something. I couldn't do either of those with any effect. So it's been 6 months now, and during these 6 months I've experienced a lot of improvement. So that improvement continues to go forward, as I'm hoping you can tell, I'm get back to a place in which I can reasonably carry on a conversation.
Absolutely.
Have a meeting if I need to. I'm hoping to be able to get to the point of being able to give talks again.
Well, you've given one already, at least to the Servants of the Word, which was very moving.
I did. Thank you. And I'm getting to the point where I'm doing my email, although it's much slower than it was before, so I have to be a little bit more selective about what it makes the time and worthwhile to do. But all those things, little by little, they're getting back to something closer to, I don't know if I'd say back to complete normal, but getting back to really being able to do my work, interact with my brothers and sisters, and for people who don't know me very much, to not even quite notice that there's something wrong unless they get a lot of time to do so.
And are you still doing any therapy of any kind, or?
I did speech therapy up until the time that I left Manila in August. And I and the therapist said to me at that point, "We think we've taught you what you need to learn from a therapist. At this point, what you mainly need to do is just keep working yourself in speaking and writing, and to do that mainly in the contexts of your life, your responsibility, your work." And so that's what I'll be trying to do in this next period of time.
And our non-native English-speaking listeners and watchers are, I'm sure, curious. What about your Spanish, your Tagalog, your Italian? How is that? Has that been affected as well?
Yes, I have. You know, it's really not like I had a problem with English, but I problem was speaking, and so all the speaking was affected in some way or another. That having said, I found that it was a little easier for me to get my Spanish back, although the problem with my Spanish is that until August I had hardly had any opportunities to speak it. And so I was using it myself, listening or reading it. So what I found once I actually took the chance to be with some of my brothers from Latin America is that I'm going through that same process, and I'm somewhat farther behind because I haven't had the opportunities to get the experience. And so puedo entender lo que estoy... Los hermanos tienen que decir algo, entiendo. Si tengo que decir algo, puedo. But I'm still trying to say everything that I want to say it well. And I'm a little farther behind than I would be in English. But I'm hoping to get back to that place in Spanish also.
Good.
In Filipino, I experienced the effect even more because it was my last of the languages that I'd learned. I hadn't learned it as well. And I didn't have as many tools like reading and writing that I have with the others, because so much of it was oral.
Right.
So I'm finding it slow to get back, but I'm hoping to get to the point where I can use my Filipino again also.
And maybe in closing, do you have what are the spiritual lessons that you've been learning through this? You could probably give a whole talk on that.
Yes,
but
really, I could take a lot of time. I felt like the Lord allowed this to be a time of growth and of change and of learning for myself. And I'm hoping that as I get more and more effective in speaking with others, to share these things that I've learned, that I'll be able to commute about them, in writing about them, or speaking in talks or whatever. But also just in conversations. I would say, on the one hand, I experienced how central and fundamental just is my love and my faith and my hope in the Lord, and that I know that's true, but I'm experiencing it at new levels that even when one becomes more limited, become not able to do many of the things that once one could do, that the ability to continue to love the Lord, to trust in Him, to have hope in Him, I believe that those things became even more clear and more definite for me. I'd also say that it was an early preparation for me for the realities of growing old. Because very quickly, from a time of not experiencing yet much of the effects of being old, I had a very strong experience of dealing with the weakness and the limitations that will become more and more the reality of my life anyway, as a man who's going to be getting older. And I think the Lord's been getting me ready for those things and trust in Him to face them as the challenges come to me.
Well, we look forward to you minting some of those lessons for us and sharing them. In closing, what are 2 or 3 things we can pray for you in this next little while?
Thank you. Please, as you have, thank you for your prayers, and I pray that you continue to help me to continue improving. I'd like to be able to get back to be able to do all the things that I could do if the Lord wants to use them. What that will mean in terms of how I should use them, where I should use them, I don't know, and you could also leave that before the Lord in prayer as well. How would you like to use me now, and in what way is this experience part of a direction that you'd like me to take or be used by my brothers and sisters? And that you would also pray that I might continue to grow in those most fundamental things and to